Harley-Davidson is burning through $2.3 million per month in unsold inventory. And what's happening behind dealership doors will shock you. The iconic American brand is facing a crisis unlike anything we've seen in decades. Thousands of brand new motorcycles are sitting untouched, collecting dust, and dealers are desperate to get them off their books. But here's the crazy part. This disaster creates the biggest buying opportunity in 20 years, and I'll show you exactly how to capitalize on it in the next 10 minutes. The first thing you need to understand is the sheer scale of what's happening right now. This isn't just a few extra bikes on showroom floors. We're talking about a full-blown inventory catastrophe. In the last quarter of 2024, Harley had over 48,000 motorcycles sitting on dealer lots. That's enough bikes to stretch from New York to Philadelphia if you lined them up end to end. And while that number is actually 28% lower than the previous year, it's still causing massive financial bleeding. But why is this happening? Why are these beautiful American machines sitting unsold? The answer is more shocking than you might think. Harley's global sales have absolutely collapsed. Their Q2 results show revenue down 19.3% to $1.31 billion. North American sales plummeted 17%, and international sales dropped 12%. This isn't just a small dip, it's a tsunami hitting the company. Their earnings per share fell nearly 46%, and their operating income dropped over 53%. What's even more alarming is how widespread this collapse is. In the first half of 2025, Harley's global registrations fell to just 72,938 units, a staggering 27.7% decline. Sales dropped 20.7% in North America, 36% in Western Europe, 34.6% in Asia, and a catastrophic 66.3% in India. One industry insider described it as like if a tsunami had hit the company. And that's not hyperbole. It's the brutal reality Harley is facing. But here's where it gets really interesting for you and me. Every single day these bikes sit on the showroom floor, dealers are losing money, big money. And I'm not talking about opportunity cost. I'm talking about cold, hard cash flowing out of their accounts. You see, most people don't realize that dealers don't actually own those bikes outright. They finance them through what's called floor plan financing. It's basically a loan that covers their inventory until they sell it. And here's the kicker. That financing costs approximately 27 cents per day for every $1,000 borrowed. That works out to nearly 10% interest annually. Let me put that in perspective. A $30,000 Harley that sits unsold for 8 months costs the dealer over $6,500 just in interest payments. That's not counting the showroom space it takes up, the insurance, or the depreciation. Now multiply that by dozens or even hundreds of bikes at larger dealerships. We're talking about financial bleeding on a massive scale. And it's not just Harley. The entire powersports industry is in trouble. Industry experts predict that 400 powersports dealerships will close in 2025 alone. Mark Sheffield from the National Powersports Dealer Association put it bluntly, "This is going to be a tough year for the powersports industry, and we're going to see a lot of the weaker players go away." The crisis isn't limited to the United States either. In the UK, over 15 motorcycle dealers have closed since summer 2024. New bike sales are down 17.8% compared to 2024, and March 2025 registrations plummeted 22.1%. But what happens to all these unsold motorcycles? Where do they go? This is where things get really interesting, and where the opportunity lies for guys like us. When dealers can't move these bikes, they have a few options, none of them good. The ideal window to sell a new bike is 60 to 90 days after it arrives. After 6 months, dealers get desperate. Some convert the bikes to demo status so they can sell them as used. Others ship them to long-term storage facilities, literal motorcycle graveyards with hundreds or thousands of unsold bikes. The most desperate dealers are already 3 months behind on their floor plan payments. And that's when the real pain begins. These bikes end up at dealer auctions. There are 2 types: closed auctions, where only franchise dealers can participate, and open auctions, where any licensed dealer can bid. At closed auctions, these bikes typically fetch about 70 to 75% of retail value. But at open auctions, they only get 50 to 60% of what they're worth. Think about that for a second. A brand new Harley that would cost you $30,000 at the dealership might sell for just $15,000 to $18,000 at an open auction. And it gets worse. New motorcycles can lose 20 to 30% of their value in the first year. So a Harley that sat unsold for a year might fetch just $9,000 at auction, less than a third of its original price. The auction process itself is remarkably efficient at liquidating inventory, even if it's brutal for the dealers. Once a bike is consigned to auction, the entire process takes just 2 to 3 weeks from consignment to sale. Mannheim, owned by Cox Automotive, is the largest player in this space, processing thousands of motorcycles weekly. This is a disaster for dealers, but an incredible opportunity for smart buyers who know how to navigate this situation. Now, you might be wondering why Harley doesn't just cut production to match demand. And that's a fair question. The truth is, they're trying. Harley claims their dealer inventory is 28% lower than a year ago, but it's not enough. Their days inventory increased from 70 days to over 77 days in just 1 year. Their inventory turnover rate is a glacial 1.18, meaning it takes them almost a full year to sell through their stock. Harley's total inventory in Q1 2025 was valued at $729 million. That's $750 million tied up in motorcycles that aren't selling. And every day that number grows as interest accumulates. And they're not alone in this crisis. KTM has 265,000 unsold motorcycles in inventory, an entire year's worth of production. They're in a full-blown financial crisis. What makes this situation even more painful for dealers is the contrast with consumer financing rates. While dealers are paying nearly 10% interest on their inventory, consumers can finance new Harleys at rates as low as 1.49% to 11.84% depending on credit. Used Harley financing ranges from 6.39% to 7.44%. This creates a perverse incentive where it's cheaper for consumers to finance bikes than it is for dealers to keep them in inventory. Yet the bikes still aren't selling. In some extreme cases, dealers have resorted to desperate measures like exporting bikes to overseas markets in South America, Southeast Asia, and Africa, anywhere they can find buyers. There have even been reports of brand new motorcycles being disassembled or scrapped when all other options fail. But here's where it gets really interesting for you and me. This crisis creates 3 massive opportunities that smart riders can take advantage of right now. Opportunity number 1, dealer desperation. Dealers who are 3 months behind on floor plan payments aren't in a position to negotiate hard. They need cash flow, and they need it now. If you walk in with financing already secured, or better yet, cash in hand, you're in a position of power. I talked to a dealer in Texas last week who told me they're willing to take up to 20% off MSRP on certain models just to move them. That's unheard of for Harley-Davidson. Opportunity number 2, the auction market. If you have a dealer license or know someone who does, you can access these dealer-only auctions. Even without one, there are brokers who can help you buy from these auctions for a small fee. I recently saw a 2024 Road Glide with 0 miles sell for $19,500 at auction. The MSRP on that bike is over $30,000. That's a $10,500 discount on a brand new motorcycle. Opportunity number 3, the used market flood. As dealers convert new bikes to demos to get them off the books, the used market is about to be flooded with essentially new motorcycles with minimal miles. This will drive down prices across the board. If you've been waiting for the right time to upgrade your ride, the next 6 to 12 months will be the best buyer's market we've seen in 2 decades. But you need to be smart about how you approach this. Here are the 3 steps you need to take to capitalize on this situation. Step 1. Do your homework. Research the specific model you want. Know the MSRP, know the dealer cost, typically about 10% below MSRP for Harleys, and know what they're selling for at auction. This gives you the ammunition you need to negotiate effectively. Step 2. Secure financing before you shop. Walking into a dealership with pre-approved financing or cash puts you in a position of strength. Dealers are more willing to negotiate on price when they're not making money on the financing. Step 3. Be willing to walk away. This is the most important step. The inventory crisis isn't going away anytime soon. If one dealer won't meet your price, another will. Patience is your greatest asset in this market. I've put together a comprehensive guide on how to navigate this buyer's market, including which models are most overstocked, which dealers are most desperate, and how to access dealer auctions even without a license. The motorcycle industry is facing its biggest crisis in decades. Harley-Davidson's inventory problem is costing dealers millions every month, and it's only getting worse. But for riders who understand what's happening and know how to navigate this situation, it's an unprecedented opportunity to get the bike of your dreams at a fraction of the price. The $847 million inventory crisis no one's talking about is creating the biggest buying opportunity we've seen in 20 years. The question is, will you take advantage of it? If you found this breakdown valuable, hit that subscribe button so you don't miss what we expose next. I'll see you in the next one.